everybody, back again for another episode of our Startup Spotlight here with my good friend and colleague, Gavin Gilfan. Gavin, we're bringing folks a little bit of a different look this week, moving out of the consumer space into climate, sustainability, tech, etc. here with an awesome company called Epoch, which is revolutionizing the way that boats are actually made and the sustainable impact the technology has as a result. So Gavin, thanks again for joining us. Really excited to learn more about Epoch. Love these new technologies in the sustainability space. Tell us a little bit more about the company's origin and really what they're doing with the technology.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for having me, John. Just like Tesla is transforming the EV industry and companies like Helion are transforming the 18-wheeler industry, I think Epoch could definitely transform the electric boating industry with their two patent pending technologies, with the hydrofoil technology as well as the bi-directional power capabilities. And so what was made very clear to me as I've gotten to know Tom was that their invention is not an electric boat, yet it's these different technologies that will allow them to transform the industry for years to come.
Really interesting stuff. Obviously, everyone immediately hops to the Tesla analogy here, but Gavin, from a product design perspective, that's really what helped set Tesla apart. It wasn't just sort of the boxy Chevy Volt or the Prius, right? People really enjoyed the experience of driving a Tesla. They liked how it was differentiated. They liked how the interface looked. They just loved the speed, etc. Has Epoch incorporated any of that design thinking into how they're thinking about sort of the user experience of these boats?
Yeah, so right now Epoch has, developed prototypes for their boat that, admittedly they'll say might not be the highest quality materials or the best looking stuff, but that's also what part of their raise is going towards, is to scale from the prototype boat that they currently have to a more user-friendly boat that the consumer will like and want to really use. And so that's going to be a big part of the funds moving forward. And also the boats are going to have a bunch of customizable features, whether that's different battery lengths, charging capabilities, or visual features as well, that customize just similarly to how there's numerous models and makes of every car.
Sure, absolutely. The customization is certainly a component of the model that Tesla really capitalized on. It certainly makes sense that Epoch would follow suit. Gavin, where did the technology really come from? Was this something that the founders developed themselves? Was it a previous stop in their careers? Is it through kind of a JV joint partnership? And ultimately, how proprietary is it? Is this thing protected?
Yeah, so right now both of their technologies, with the hydrofoil technology as well as the bidirectional power, they're both patent pending, so not yet fully protected, but they're on their way to being so. And really this team is super impressive in that they've already exited a startup in the marine tech space, so they have a bunch of experience kind of guiding them throughout this journey as well.
So ultimately, Gavin, how far do you think they are from bringing this thing to market? I know you mentioned some of the prototypes. Obviously, things are patent pending. It sounds like they've got product development well on the way in the pipeline. But is this something that's a year out, several years out? How soon do you think it'll be until we see Epoch boats on the water and people enjoying them?
Yeah, so right now Epoch is, raising their round of funding at the moment. And, I think within 6 to 12 months after that, after they close their round, I think we should be able to see, the first version of Epoch boats out on the water. And, to start, that version is going to be, modeled for 2 to 5 passengers and is going to be more of a smaller boat. And, on top of that, there will be a bunch of customizable features, and designs may change over time, but their initial models should be ready within a year at the latest.
Yeah, it sounds very much like the Tesla Roadster, the two-seater as they got started, and finding a way for the company to ultimately expand into something that's a little bit more accessible, a little bit larger, a little bit more mainstream. So really interesting model. And I don't want to drive home the Tesla comparison too much, but it's certainly hard not to when you talk about changing in a revolutionary way the traditional ways of how these transportation tech models have been created. So, Gavin, ultimately, if you're sitting there, you're about to write a check, what are the 2 or 3 main factors that would push you to make an investment decision one way or another?
Yeah, so obviously as I alluded to previously, the founding team has already, worked and successfully exited a previous marine tech startup. And so they have a lot of experience in the aquatic and climate space. So I think that's a huge benefit, as well as I think kind of a differentiator between Epic and some of their competitors is that most competitors in the space are going at more of the, larger sized boats for more corporate users and things of that nature. And so I think that Epic going after the target market of potential families or smaller groups is going to be something that will really differentiate them on the market, as well as they're at a significantly lower price point than these other electric boats that are costing up to a couple $100,000. Epic's base model is under $40,000, so it's much more affordable.
Certainly seems like they're going for the accessibility point. Absolutely. And Gavin, appreciate the perspective there. Again, just to confirm for our viewers at home, Founders Trust does not offer any financial, legal, or tax advice. So anything we say on this podcast is strictly our own opinion and should not be considered as such. Please consult an investment professional, an accountant, or your attorney before making any investment decision. But always helpful to get a perspective of someone who's been studying these technologies, connecting with founders, et cetera. So Gavin, really appreciate your thoughts there. Any takeaways on this industry as a whole? Obviously, companies like Epic are really working to change the way that, the boating industry, more in the retail boating industry, I would say, is operating. But are you starting to see these trends in other areas of transportation outside of your traditional Tesla, Helion, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there nowadays that are really working hard to shift to electric vehicles. And while, it might be more common in the traditional electric car industry with, every company, it seems like nowadays, is building their own electric vehicle. Another, thing that could be in the line is potential government legislation to further help this trend. I know, recently we've had the legislation passed for electric vehicles, and especially states that are out on the coast such as Florida and the Carolinas are for sure pushing hardly to have that extended down to boats as well to take advantage of their climates out in the oceans.
Absolutely. Well, Gavin, thanks again for joining us this week. Thanks for bringing us more information on Epic. If you want more information about the company, please connect with us at Founders Trust Network. You can reach out to Gavin or myself. Always excited to bring you great companies on a weekly basis. So, Gavin, thanks again for joining us, and we'll join you, our listeners, again next week with another great company.
Thanks, John. Have a great one.